Welcome to the Vegan Pulse. I am your host, Nancy Arenas, and today my guest is Andrea Lach. She is a vegan raw chef, hatha yoga teacher, and massage therapist, traveler, and surfer. 2 years ago, she quit her 9-to-5 job in order to live more authentic, and she started traveling, educating herself, and growing in areas where she found purpose and value. She simply lives and promotes a holistic and cruelty-free lifestyle. Stick around, I'd like to introduce her to you. Hi, Andrea, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. It was really cold this morning here in New Mexico, and then it's getting milder. Tell me how the weather is in Croatia right now.
Well, it's very cold. It's like 0 degrees, a little bit above zero sometimes. Yeah, but it's kind of hazy and no sun today, but it's okay. I went out for a run anyways, so it was a good day.
Oh, okay. Well, I took my dog out for a walk. You went for a run. I took my dog out for a walk. So tell
We
me,
need to
Andrea.
do that.
So tell me, Andrea, how did you come to veganism?
Yeah, that's a good question that has kind of a long story. Not such a long story, but many years behind it. I actually started with being vegetarian, actually to be correct, pescatarian from the age of 16. And it kind of was more an experiment that kind of just came to me, as I was always a bit rebellious. I wanted to be different and everything. And I also had my stepmom, she's a pescatarian. And so as I went for the weekends to my father's house, to have lunch, and she would cook. And that kind of gave me the idea of this vegetarian food, and I liked it. And I never really liked meat much. I never really was a big meat eater anyway. So I started just excluding some sorts of meat, and I never really ate, a lot of fats and that kind of. I only ate chickens and like the easy kind of white meat, as we call it. So I started excluding some things from my diet, and then one day it was actually my grandma was in the backyard, and she had a chicken. And I think it was a cooked chicken already. And I felt the smell of a cooked chicken, and she was taking the feather out from the chicken. And I remember that scene. That was the scene that when I felt kind of very repulsed by the idea of eating that chicken, and of, the whole thing of how she was doing it. And I was like, kind of made the connection. This was alive, and from that day, I just started this kind of experiment. So I said to my mom and to everyone, okay, I'm not gonna eat meat anymore. And then I'm very grateful for that period, because as I was in my teenage, I had a lot of support. She was like, my parents would always be like, but do you need more nutrients? Like, are you sure? Maybe she wanted to, even like my mom would try to, put some chicken into the soup or something, because I didn't eat chicken. So she would try to give me the chicken soup, but I would feel the smell, with time. So anyways, I would say the reason was more me being repulsed by the fact of eating meat. It came kind of organically, naturally. And I stick with it until today. And 3 years ago, I came across veganism, which is kind of fascinating when you look at it. Sometimes I dwell on this, like I think about this, how is it possible that it took me so long? I mean, being a vegetarian, okay, I ate fish, but I ate it mostly because my family, we have a lot of fish, and like they thought I mostly ate it for the habit of being presented to me than me. Ever since I started cooking, I never used any animal in my cooking. So yeah, what I wanted to say. So yeah, it's kind of crazy to think, looking from now, that it took me so long, but it actually just happened overnight also. Me from being pescatarian to becoming vegan, I just came across a documentary, Forks Over Knives, and then I started watching something related on YouTube, you know, like this recommendations they come across. So I came across Gary Yourofsky.
I
I'm
love
sure you,
him.
I love him too. It's like, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I like that dude. He's like, he's so, you
He's
know,
my hero.
he is a hero. He really is a hero, and he has this. You know, he is bold, and he's. You know, he doesn't have the, uh, you know, problem with saying what things are, how they are. He just says it, and you know, there's a lot of more compassionate, kind vegan activists. Like, of course, I came across then James Aspie and Earthling Ed. So I had like a day or two of watching some interviews and videos, and that was it.
And
That was
then
it over.
and then you now do subtle activism through for veganism through food, right? Cooking and
Yes.
also yoga. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So yeah, I recently 2 years ago I started traveling, and then I started working as a vegan chef. I was very lucky to get that position. So even before I became working as a vegan chef, I was cooking at home, and I got asked a lot about my recipes, or like how do I do things, and like people would genuinely be sometimes very curious, like, but what do you eat? How do you like? They would still make these stupid jokes. You only eat the lettuce, you know. And then I'm like, no, actually, you know, vegan food is very easy to make, and it's all from nature, you know, all the legumes and nuts and vegetables and fruits. And so I try to, I call it subtle activism because it usually goes one on one. And usually people ask me uh, because I try to avoid this uh, imposing my views. I got kind of sometimes people would say that I'm imposing my views, but I'm trying to be very understanding and compassionate, because I know that people are coming from different agendas, and we were all born in a non-vegan world, unfortunately. Yeah, when I'm asked, then I just say that it's not as expensive as they think it is, because they usually say, oh, it's so expensive, all the vegan alternatives. And it's like, yes, they're there and they're available and it's beautiful. We're all very happy about it, but you don't need to buy them. You can make nice vegan fry out of veggies and some grains. You can just, you know, potato, you can use it in so many ways. Like, for example, you can even use sweet potato in a recipe for a dessert, you know. So I post some of my recipes online, and I also like to share with my friends and family and with whomever is interested. I think this is a good way, because especially when they maybe come to my place and try something, then they're like, oh, is this really from is this hummus really? Because you know it's like so good, you know, and like, how do you make this? So it's, they are so surprised with something so easy. So I'm very happy to share this. And yoga comes here also. Yeah. So I became a yoga teacher 1 year ago, and I've been trying to teach, because I'm also traveling. So I was in India, and then I was teaching there. And then now that I'm home, I'm not so able to travel. So I do online classes, but sometimes I still did some on-site classes. And yeah, sometimes it's very connected in general, living the yogi lifestyle and the vegan lifestyle, because it actually is non-violence. This is one of the basic principles in yoga. It's called ahimsa. This means non-violence. So living in a way that you don't want to cause harm to any living being, not to yourself and not to anybody else. And this is a place where I come back to often. Uh, Also, yoga gives a lot of grounding and self practice, in a way that you observe the self, you observe yourself in the world, and then you try to do the best for yourself and for everyone. So basically,
So basically, anyone following a yoga discipline should be vegan.
well, I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. But I would get probably disagreements from a lot of people, just
Well,
as usual. We get to talk about veganism.
I understand that, but I'm just saying if the principle of yoga is ahimsa, which is no
Yeah.
violence, no harm, then
Yes.
it's time for yoga teachers and yoga followers to kind of align their yoga and
Yes, that would be
veganism because
wonderful.
they are connected.
There's a lot of them vegetarian. I think basically everyone is at least vegetarian when they're into yoga and into some natural life that is about, you know, prevention of disease and just self-discipline and self. So when people are into that, it seems like it's so little that needs to be, you know, that they just need to connect to also quit dairy and to quit eating eggs and maybe fish sometimes, just to connect that this is all causing suffering, and they're contributing to a lot of suffering if they continue doing that. And yeah, I hope that I'm trying to in my conversations point out some things that make people, you know, understand the connection. But sometimes for us, it's very easy to see, and we are we're encountering kind of some walls in other people's, and it's all habits. It's understandable. So
Right,
uh,
because we have been conditioned, but you know, we're
yes,
conditioned. We love animals, but we eat them. So right there is
yes,
a disconnect. We want to, you know, practice ahimsa, but are you eating a burger? So, you know, it's like the people who have bumper stickers on their cars that say namaste or, you know, life, all life
yeah,
matters. But if you're not vegan, you really haven't done your connection thoroughly, in my
yeah, because you are.
in my view.
Yeah, of course, because you are still living a life that is paying for the industries that are causing suffering. So I should say the yoga thing also, it's just coming from your own responsibility. This is the word I was missing: responsibility for yourself and for the world. So if you're really responsible, then you understand where your food is coming from, and you can make this connection. So yeah, for some people it takes more time, but I hope
Well,
it
thank
happens more and more.
well, thank you, Andrea, so very much for taking the time out to talk to us and let us know all about your journey. Bye.
Thank you for having me. Bye bye.
Thank you for joining us in another episode of the Vegan Pulse. I am your host, Nancy Arenas. Remember, follow us on Facebook, like us too. Check out our blog and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You won't miss an episode. Remember, if you have a pulse, whoop, you have a purpose. Live vegan.